This course is brought to you by AppyPie as part of our Academy series.
In this video, I'm going to talk about how to avoid bad reviews. It's an extremely important topic because the higher your average app rating is, the more downloads you're going to get. And the more downloads you're going to get, obviously, the higher you're going to keep ranking in the App Store, the more people are going to spend with your app. So it's really important to keep your average rating as high as possible. How are you going to do that? So the very natural thing that comes to mind is, of course, you have to have a good app. You can't avoid it, because if you have a bad app, you're just gonna get bad reviews. But let's say you have a good app. Sometimes what really hurts a good app is just a few really bad bugs, and these are so avoidable because you can just, when you make app releases, don't make gigantic app releases. Iterate in small release in small pieces that are easily tested, and you can test across devices as much as possible. I know it's hard because there's a limit in how many devices you can have, but you need to especially look at some older devices that you still support and the size of devices, because on your app might look very and function very differently on different device sizes. And also you want to test across different operating systems. Maybe on the new operating system it's working fine, but on the old one it's having some issues. Also, so that's something, if you're outsourcing, you can ask your development team, because they might have multiple devices that they have in their office, or at least get a bunch of your friends' phones and see how your app is working on all their phones, and then only maybe download it, release it for the mass consumption. So avoiding, because sometimes you see often in the app stores, fantastic apps, they have some big bug in some app update that they fixed maybe a long time ago, but people just jumped on them, gave them bad reviews, and those apps with bad reviews stay forever even though those problems are fixed. And those bad reviews, they damage you for the lifetime of your app. And also, you really want to make sure that your usability doesn't break down. If you ask for information, too much information too fast, if you charge too fast, we'll talk about that in a second, people are going to stop using your app, they're going to get irritated, and when they get irritated, that's when bad reviews happen. Additionally, now that you are a business person, you're not just some guy or girl online, you have to keep all your dealings online on social media professional. So the less you can do be controversial, the less you can talk about like politics or whatever, all the inflammatory topics, or get into arguments with people online, because now you're easy to hurt, because whoever argues with you, they have nothing to lose, they're just typing on their keyboard, but they, out of maliciousness, can sometimes go and give you a bad rating online. And I've seen this happen to many of my clients, where their app undeservingly gets bad reviews because people just don't like them or get into an argument with them, and the app really just took the brunt of it. Also, one good tip is, in your app description, you should always have your email for tech support. So that, because when people go to add a bad review, what do? They do it in the App Store. And so in the App Store, what you can want, having your email there in your description can prevent people, can kind of divert them. Instead of taking their anger out and adding a bad review, they can be like, oh, I see their email. Maybe instead of leaving a bad review, I'll just email their tech support and see what happens. And then you can correct that wrong. And then your tech support can actually even turn them into a 5-star review. So that's a good way to avoid bad reviews, is to just have your tech support email in the description. Also, often people get bad reviews when they ask for, and I alluded to this earlier, when people ask for reviews too early, or when you ask for too much information. For example, a person gets your app and then you have endless forms like, give me your email, sign up, make a password, blah 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 blah. And so they're like 3 or 4 minutes in the app and they still haven't gotten any benefit from it, and they get irritated and they quit, and of course they give you a bad review. So you want to smooth them in, make the app really as useful for them as fast as possible. And the more you do that, you'll get good reviews. The less you do that, you'll get bad reviews, because you'll have irritated, impatient users. Same with aggressive monetization. If you have aggressive ads, or if you have something like a pay wall where they cannot go somewhere without even either watching an ad or paying for something, that will result in more bad reviews, because people will just be like, oh my god, you're charging me 99 cents, bad 1-star review. There's a lot of people like that. Also, only ask for all the apps nowadays, they ask for reviews, but I would suggest to only ask for reviews at junctures in your app when you know that people love your app. For example, if they've been using it for quite a long time. And of course, it will decrease your overall reviews, but it certainly will skew your reviews towards the higher end, because these are like your super users. And you can even trigger the reviews to be asked when people get into parts of the app that are only like super users get into the app, which of course these are people who love you. And just keep in mind, bad reviews, that person who left it, they'll go away, they'll forget about it in 10 minutes. That bad review that you got will damage your app for years, because they're going to bring down your average rating. So you want to really be as careful as possible and follow these guidelines as much as possible that you can, so that you can avoid bad reviews, so that your average rating will be higher overall. And with the average higher rating, you'll rank higher in search, you'll get more people converting to downloaders, because they'll be convinced by the high quality, by your app store listing looking like it's a high quality app. And with the more users that download your app, you'll be able to get more social sharing, more revenue, and all the other good things that come with more users.